Welcome to Storyline Church. This is your first time with us. This is the final week of our baggage series that we started. That's what we do around here, a sermon series, which is a series of messages around a specific topic in Scripture. And so this month has been baggage. We all have baggage. Don't take offense to that. I have baggage. You have baggage. We all have baggage. And so together, we just got to figure out what to do with all the baggage that we have, that we're holding on to. And so because those emotions weigh us down the most. And so we're trying to figure out together over the past 4 weeks is how do we get rid of those emotions that's holding us back, that's holding us down. How do we let go of them? And I think I mentioned this before, but I just want to say it again. These emotions that we've been talking about, they're not sin. They're not sinful emotions. They're just emotions. What you do with them that determines whether it becomes sin or not. And so these emotions, the last one that we're talking about today is also not a sin. Hopefully it's not, because God is jealous over all of us. He's jealous over you. He's jealous over me. And so if it is a sin, we have a problem, okay? But it's not. And so we're going to talk about today about jealousy today. And I do want to say this. Our creative team and our worship team, they're awesome. If you haven't noticed, there's a new guy on stage playing the bass. And that's right. Let's come on. Give it up for him, right? People are joining the team to making a difference, and that's just awesome to see when people are just jumping in on a host team and jumping in a small group and just being plugged into the community here at Storyline Church. I think it's just so cool to see what God's doing with this new church that just launched 4 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago now. And so it's been just awesome just to see what God's been doing in Oakland and in Jacqueline Square and just through the church. And who would have thought that like a movie theater, like, you know what I'm saying, like church and a movie theater, let's go. Come on, somebody, right? And so it's exciting to see what God's doing just here in the movie theater. And afterwards, you can catch a movie for $5 on Sundays. If you didn't know that. It's a plug if you didn't know that. I should get paid from the Regal for that. So today, as I mentioned, we're talking about jealousy. Jealousy is no fun, okay? It's not. Jealousy is no fun. You don't have fun when you're. When I see the word jealousy, it just stuck in. I wasn't planning on saying this, but it just stuck in my mind. The word lousy, lousies, and jealousy, and every time I see it, I just can't undo it. I can't unsee it. I see lousy when I see jealousy, and so jealousy is no fun. Like if you're a jealous person, like that's just not a fun way to live life. With all the other emotions we've talked about, there's some fun, right? We've talked about guilt. If talk about guilt, greed, anger, and all those emotions, they come with a little bit of fun, right? I mean, if you're guilty, chances are you've had some fun, okay? Right? I'm just being honest, right? If you feel guilty, you've probably had some fun. But in anger, there's anger, right? Sometimes maybe you're extroverted with your anger. You get to let them have it. You let them have a piece of your mind. Maybe you're introverted with your anger. And it feels good to give your partner the silent treatment sometimes. It feels good. There's some fun with that. With greed, that's the best of them all. You get to keep all your stuff, right? You just swipe your card, you get to keep all your stuff. And so there's some fun that come with these other emotions. But when it comes to jealousy, there's no fun. In fact, when I was in college, I was in Southern California with Jamie. And I'm going to let you into my life. Don't judge me. Okay, this is church. Okay. And so this is our sophomore year of college, I think it is, and I'm just starting to get interested in Jamie. We're kind of courting, she sees me, I see her. And a college that we went to, it's kind of conservative, okay, if that's okay. It's not like the Bay Area, it's a little conservative, okay. And so for us, we were like it wasn't us, but we were going to college there because that's what we did. We go in there, get a degree, and so they're a little bit conservative at college, and so conservative, you won't believe this, so conservative that you can give a girl a hug, okay. On campus, you cannot give I'm not sure if it's off campus, but we're not going to talk about that. But you can give a girl a hug on campus. And so I played high school basketball. I traveled basketball. I played college for 4 years. And so I'm on the basketball team. I play point guard. And by the way, I need to pray because that's what I'm going to pray first. Can I do that? And I'm going to jump back in the story. Is that okay? Okay, I need to pray. Let's pray. God, thank you so much for who you are. Thank you that we get to enjoy music and worship, enjoy Jesus together as a community, as a church. And I pray that you just bless the next moments of Scripture, that you help us to understand the truth that you want us to understand about jealousy. And we love you. Thank you for this worship team and how they're just leading us in a place of worship and to love you and to adore you. And we pray this in Jesus. And also, Lord, be with the Golden State Warriors. Be with Steph Curry's shooting arm. God, I pray that you protect him. Lord, I pray that as the season's coming up, that they would have a flourishing season. I pray that you bless the Chase Center in San Francisco because they're meeting in there, only because they're meeting in there. But Lord, we thank you for the Golden State Warriors. Be with Steph Curry and his team. Protect them. Give them safety in Jesus' name. Everybody said, amen. Okay, so back to the story. So I'm playing college basketball. Jamie and I are starting to recording each other. And man, like I love ball. That's what I just grew up doing. And so it's I believe we won the game. I think we did. We should have won the game. Hopefully we did. We won the game, and Jamie, she's like downstairs waiting for me. And so in our like area, like the gym, you go up the stairs. There's a locker room, and it's kind of hovering over the gym. And when you come back downstairs, like this the gym, and everybody's over there. And so we go upstairs. The game's over. We won. We're coming back downstairs, and like after the game, you won the game. Like you feel like you're the man. Like you know what I'm saying. Like you're like you did it. Like you won the game. And so, like, we're excited. We're coming down. And so I'm coming down. I'm expecting, like, there's people that are going to be, my fans are going to be there. Like, my friends are going to be there. They're going to be cheering me on. Like, hey, I'm just going to be waving at them, coming down, like, hey, all right, thank you. Yes, awesome. And I'm expecting for everybody just to welcome me, And so I'm coming down the stairs, and I kind of got my strap going. I'm coming down, and I look out, and I see Jamie, and she's, like, in the middle of the court, and she's talking to this guy. And I'm coming down. All of a sudden, those stairs are just, they get longer and longer. And I'm like, she's talking. I'm like, what's going on? And so I'm coming down the stairs, and, all of a sudden, like, my swag, like, I'm, like, running down the stairs. And so, like, I see her down there. She's talking to this guy. And we're courting. I'm interested in her. She's interested in me. We've had conversations. We went on little dates. And so she's out there talking to this guy. I'm like, what's going on? And so I walk by. Just, like, you're trying to keep it cool. Like, not obvious. You're trying to keep it cool. So, like, I'm walking by, and I see her at the corner of my eye. I'm like, okay, I see you. And so I go in the bleachers into the far corner of the bleacher. I'm sitting down in the far corner of the bleacher, and I'm watching what's happening. I'm like I could have sat anywhere in the bleacher, but I went to the far corner because I want her to see me. Everybody that's in the bleachers, I want to see me in the corner sitting over there by myself. And so I'm in the corner, I'm sitting down, just waiting for her to kind of spot me. She doesn't see me. And so I'm like, so I get up, I walk around a little bit more. Don't judge me. I'm walking around a little bit more. And she still doesn't see me. I'm like, what? And so I go back down, I sit down, I'm just like, just my legs crossed. I'm like, what's going on? And one of her friends noticed me over there, and she sees me in the corner. I'm like, oh, now she's walking over here. So she's walking over. She sits down next to me. I'm in the corner of the bleacher, and she's like, and by the way, if some of you don't know this, what was I doing? It's the silent treatment. It's a tactic in marriage, right? We weren't married at the time, but it's a tactic that you practice on your partners and your relationships. Like, it's a silent treatment. And so she comes over. She sits down. She says, and by the way, this is what you want to hear, the words that you want to hear. Okay. When you're in the silent treatment, some of you know because you've either done the silent treatment to somebody else or it's been done to you. And you know what you want in that moment. And so I'm sitting down and she's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, nothing. She's like, but you're just sitting here. Why are you sitting here by yourself? She's like, no reason. I'm just here. I'm tired from the game. And she's like, you guys, congratulations, you guys won. I was like, yeah, I know. And she's like, are you sure everything's okay? I'm like, it's fine. And what you want your spouse to do, or your partner, your relationship, significant other, what you want them to do in this moment, right? Come on, guys. Or girls, right? What you want them to do in this moment is okay, I'm so wrong. I've done wrong by you. Look at him, he's hurt. It's all my fault. And whatever I can do to make it better, hey, tell me whatever it is. That's what you want them to do. But she gets up and walks away. And I'm like, all right. But I stand up, I'm talking to some guys, and she comes back over to me. And of course, eventually, it kind of fizzles out. I come back to my senses, And I'm like, I'm sorry. And she says, I know you were acting a little strange. I was like, yeah, you were talking to this guy, and I'll never forget his name. It's stuck in my head forever. His name's Casey Blazik. Casey, if you're watching, I love you. Today, I do. Not a year ago, but I love you now. And Casey Blazik, that's his name. I'll never forget his name. And so we made up. We didn't hug, but we made up. And you know what that is, right? What is it? What was I experiencing? Jealousy, right? Because jealousy is not getting what you want, right? Anger, we talked about, is anger is not getting what, the result is not getting what you want. That's what anger is. Anger is the result of you not getting what you want. But jealousy is not you getting what you want, but realizing that other people have what you want. And so we can become jealous. And so this guy was getting hugs that I wasn't getting. She was just giving out free hugs. And I was a little bit jealous. And I was not getting what I want. And I also realized that he had what I want that I wasn't getting. Jealousy. It's no fun to be jealous, right? You could be jealous of someone's talent. You could be jealous of someone's money. You could be jealous of someone's looks, someone's job, someone's opportunity, right? You could be jealous of maybe they're better looking than you. Maybe they have a better positions than you. Maybe you're jealous of their parenting skills they have. Maybe they have kids and you're jealous of that. But really, at the end of the day, generally speaking, jealousy has a name. Jealousy travels with a name. Because at the end of the day, you're not jealous about what they have. You're jealous of the fact of that person. Just like me, I'll never forget Casey's name. And jealousy is always attached to a name. You're not just jealous of what they have or their possessions. We're not just jealous of what we don't or of what we can't accumulate, or we see that someone else has that we don't have. We're jealous of the person. Because jealousy travels with a name. And the reality is this: somebody owes somebody something. That's just a fact. Somebody owes somebody something. Right? We talked about this. Guilt says, I owe you. Right? Anger says, you owe me. Greed says, look, I owe me. And just like these other emotions, jealousy, somebody owes somebody something. When it comes to guilt, see, as long as someone else is holding on to the debt, there's always going to be tension in that relationship. Right? When it comes to guilt, if someone is holding on to an apology that you believe really belongs to you, there's going to be tension in that relationship. As long as someone is, you're holding on to someone, keeping them hostage because of your anger, there's going to be tension in that relationship. The same with greed. If you're holding, there's going to be tension between you and yourself. And so somebody owes somebody something, and as long as there's a debt that hasn't been canceled, that's been holding on to, there's going to be tension. And just like the other three, jealousy, at the end of the day, jealousy says this. Jealousy says that God owes me. That's what jealousy says. Because at the end of the day, you're not just upset at the fact that person has what you don't have. You're not just upset at the fact of that person himself or herself. You're upset because you don't have what they have, and God made you and created you to be the way you are. And so at the end of the day, you're jealous and you believe that God owes you and God owes me. Because I don't have the car. I don't have the looks. I don't have fill in the blank. I don't have the relationship. And God, you owe me something. And God, you need to pay up. And that's what jealousy comes down to. And we're going to see in just a moment a story of two girls that are in a relationship that are sisters, and they're jealous of each other. Because how do you how does God pay us back if he owes us? Because somebody owes somebody something. So here's the story. There's a guy. His name's Laban. Somebody say Laban. He has 2 daughters, and his 2 daughters are. This is you might not like this, okay? But this is just the way the Bible puts it. This is just the way the Bible says it. But his 2 daughters, Rachel's the youngest, and Leah's the oldest. And this says this about Rachel. It says that Rachel is absolutely drop dead gorgeous. And Leah has a good heart. And so everybody in the town, knows, not like Oakland. Okay, Akeem, I know you're insulting our intelligence. We know that. Okay, okay. But not in this town, but like, in the town, right? That everybody knew Laban because of his daughter. Because of his youngest daughter, Rachel. Everybody knew Laban. Word has got out. People are attracted to his household because of his daughter. And so everybody knows about Laban because of Rachel, because of his youngest. And so there's this guy. He's a pretty notable character in Scripture. His name is Jacob. Jacob sees Rachel, and immediately he's smitten by her. He falls in love with her. And he thinks she's absolutely gorgeous, just like the rest of the guys. And so Jacob goes to Laban and he makes an appeal. He says to Laban, he says, look, I'll do anything to marry your daughter Rachel. And Laban's like, anything? And Jacob's like, anything. And Laban says, okay, work for me for 7 years. He says, work for me for 7 years and you can marry Rachel. And so he does. And so he works him for 7 years. And at the end of the 7 years, time has arrived. The 7 years is over. Hard work, labor is all over. There's a big celebration. There's a big party. There's a big a festival that's happening. It's time for the marriage. And so, time for the marriage. And Laban does this old switcheroo. Okay, there's no such thing as a switcheroo. Sorry. Laban does this switcheroo, and he says to him, he says, now apparently. This was like a party, this was a party, okay? This party was for real, because it was so crazy. The party was so crazy that Laban sends in his younger daughter in the tent with Jacob, and Jacob's in the tent, and his daughter Leah is actually in the tent with Jacob, and this was like a crazy night. It was a big party. There was probably some wine involved, okay, probably from Napa, okay? And so there's this big party going, and Jacob's in the tent with Leah, and apparently the night before, he doesn't know it's Leah. And so he wakes up in the morning, he's like, ah! And he sees Leah there. He sees Leah, they kind of do this, okay? And he sees Leah there, and he's like, and he marches out of his tent. He finds Laban. He's like, bro, that's not okay. You can't do that. Okay, you can't do that. I worked. Look, I deserve Rachel. This is what we talked about. I deserve Rachel. And so and some of you are probably thinking, that's why I don't like the Bible. It's just so antique. It's so antique that the scriptures can do this from women and sell and give them away, but it actually still happens in some cultures today. And even more than that, let me just, if I may, just descend into sarcasm for just a second. Isn't it interesting that a man and his household is known because of how beautiful a woman is today? We don't judge. We're so past that, right? We don't judge people because of how their looks. Because of how pretty they are. We're just so past that. Isn't that funny? Yeah, no, we're not at all. And so Laban he's tricked Jacob, he's deceived Jacob, and there he's married to Leah. And so Laban says to him, okay, Jacob, don't be upset. I'm sorry, man. So this is what I'll do, okay? How about you finish your bridal week? After the week is over, you can marry Rachel, but you have to work for me for 7 years. And Jacob's like, okay, this is where his negotiation skills kicked in. He's like, look, I'm not going to wait for 7 years. How about I marry her at the end of my bridal week, and then I'll work for you for 7 years. And so he says, yeah, he agrees to that. And so end of the bridal week is over. He marries Rachel. Now he has 2 wives. That's a complicated relationship, my brothers and sisters, okay? He has 2 wives. And now they're married. And now could you only imagine Leah, married to Jacob, but also her sister's involved. The sister that she's been sitting underneath for as long as she could remember. Right? Everybody would come over to the house and, oh, Laban, your daughter, Rachel, she's so beautiful. Right? They go out into the town, they go to Trader Joe's, and everybody sees Rachel, and they're like, oh, Rachel, you're so gorgeous. And she has to now live with Jacob and under the shadow of her younger sister, Rachel. Could you imagine the envy, the jealousy that she must have experienced? And so this is where the story picks up. It says, when the Lord saw that Leah was not loved, he enabled her to conceive, but Rachel remained childless. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to like children in antiquity, like it was a big deal to have kids. Like when kids were equivalent, okay? Children were equivalent to fortune, to wealth, to gold. And so the more children you had, the more wealth you would consider to be, the more wealthy you consider to be, because it was an agricultural society, and so you had more labor, and more labor comes more harvest, and so children were considered to be wealthy. And so when the Lord saw that when the Lord saw that Leah was not loved by Jacob, he enabled her to conceive, but Rachel remained childless. It goes on. Leah became pregnant and gave birth to a son, and she names him Reuben. First she said, it's because the Lord has seen my misery. Surely my husband would love me. So Leah, God looked upon Leah and he sees her misery. And so he enables her to have children. And now she's becoming a little bit more wealthy from her perspective. And so she has children. And so she names her son Reuben, right? Reuben, the name Reuben means to see. It means to look upon. That's an interesting name for a child. She says, look, she has this baby boy. She says, look at him. It's Reuben. Oh, you have a child. That's awesome. What's his name? Look, it's a boy. Wait, what's his, look, it's a boy. Oh, you got a child. Okay, that's great. What's his name? Look, it's a boy. She names him Look, it's a boy, because you see what oftentimes happens is we want to be seen. We want to be seen. Like, these are fundamental issues when it comes to humanity. It's like we want to be seen, right? That's why I was sitting in the corner. I want Jamie to see me. I want her to see that I'm here and I'm hurting and I'm in pain and I'm disappointed. And so she says, look, and she names her child after her pain of what she's actually going through. Isn't it so much like us to do that? Right? To the hurt that we're going through, the hurt that we're suffering through, we want to put something over to hide it, what's actually going on. And so we have, relationships, or we enter into another relationship, or we enter into another circumstance so that we could try to hide what's actually going on underneath. And she has a boy to cover up, to conceal what's actually happening inside. And it's just another way to cover what's actually going on. And maybe you walked into here with baggage today, just like I walked into here with baggage. And just like everybody else that was on the stage walked into here with baggage. And maybe you're thinking, man, maybe there's something that I can do to cover up my baggage. And whatever that you think that might be, Friends, there's only one thing that can cover up that baggage. And so she has another boy. It goes on to say this. She conceived again, and when she gave birth to a son, she said, this time I'll name him, because the Lord heard that I am not loved, and he gave me this one too. So she named him Simon. Simon. Somebody say Simon. She named him Simon. You know why? Because she wants to be now heard. His name Simon in the Hebrew, if you read it out loud in English, it's almost to say it's to heard. And now she wants to be heard. She goes from wanting to be seen, right? Because she has got this baggage, she's got this jealousy that she's struggling with, this envy that she's struggling with her sister and with the people around her, right? She has this baggage and so she goes from wanting to be seen to wanting to be heard. She wants to be heard. She wants the people around her to hear her. And so she's doing things out of character so that she can be heard. You see, I can justify my efforts to conceal my past when it comes to my guilt. Or I can even make a convincing case for my anger. But how do I justify those feelings inside of me that spawn from jealousy? See, a lot of us think like, well, I don't really get jealous. Like that's maybe that's the person next to me. But I don't really suffer. I don't really struggle with jealousy. Right. So you're telling me you're the only one that don't struggle with jealousy. So you're telling me that you don't get a twinge of satisfaction from watching someone else lose what they have. Is it only me? Or right? Like you're hanging out with a friend and they're like, "Oh, did you hear? Hey, let me tell you, did you hear what happened?" I'm like, "No, what happened? You didn't hear this from me. You didn't hear this from me, but did you, so-and-so, did you hear?" And we're sitting at home on the couch late evening, and those thoughts come back into our minds, and we kind of capture them for just a moment. And they're like, and you think to yourself, "Oh, that's too bad they're struggling with that. I'm doing so good in that area. I'm doing so good in that department. I'm doing so good at work." You see, the only thing the haves, don't miss this, the only thing the haves can do to make us have-nots feel better is to lose what they have. There's something satisfying about watching someone lose something you wish you had. There's a twinge of satisfaction you get when you notice that your sister-in-law didn't look quite as good at the beach this summer as she did last year. There's a twinge of satisfaction that you get when you're at work and your partner, your employee, your coworker, your peer didn't quite hit his numbers as he did the last presentation. There's something satisfying about watching someone lose something you wish you had. There's something about it. So how do we get rid of those feelings that's inside of us? So she has another boy. She says, "I just want to be heard. I just want you to hear me. I just want to be understood." Right? That's what it is with Jamie and I. Like, I was sitting in the corner, and I want her to see me, but I also want to come out and hear me. I want to understand that, like, look, I was a little bit jealous about Casey. Right? I want to be heard. 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 You want to be heard. The people, the you next to you wants to be heard. You back there, you want to be heard. Those are fundamental feelings that we all have and struggle with as human beings. But it goes on. She says, she conceives again. Again, she conceived, and when she gave birth to a son, she said, now at last, my husband will become attached to me. She goes from wanting to be seen to wanting to be heard to settling for an attachment. Right? This is her husband that's supposed to love her. She wants to be loved by her husband. And now she's in this place that she goes from seeing to being heard. She's not getting on those things, but now she's going to settle for an attachment. And that's what all of us do oftentimes. We settle for what actually will last. Instead of settling for what will last, you settle for an attachment. It's just a quick fix. Whatever, look, I don't really care right now about love, about what's actually going to last. I just want to fix it really fast. I just want to cover it. I just want to fix it really fast. And it's just an attachment. She's settling for a feeling. She's settling for a feeling. And how often times of us do we do the same thing? We settle for just the feeling of being liked, instead of actually dealing with the symptom that's actually inside of us. And it's envy. It's insecurity. It's jealousy. And so she conceives, and she has another boy, and she names him a feeling, an affection, to be attached. Leah has been so worn down by her circumstance, by her environment, by envy, by not being loved, under the shadow of her sister. She's been so worn down by her environment that she does whatever it takes to just settle for some just attachments. You see, if you like, this is just really good marketing, but do you like soda? If anybody likes soda? Like, I don't like soda. If you like soda, it's all right. It's cool. But when it comes to soda, like, when you drink soda, you know what happens? You get more thirsty. It's just a phenomenal marketing technique. Like, the more you drink soda, the more thirsty you get. You know what that's called? It's called cheap attachments. And the more you just keep drinking from this thing that's not going to satisfy you, the more thirsty you're going to get. It's just a trap. And so you're just going to settle for the next thing. And all of us, including me, oftentimes settle for cheap attachments, don't we? Just cheap connections. And we trade what will last for an attachment. And she's settling for just a feeling. But let's not judge the people around us, right? Because we do the same thing. Right? Sometimes we judge people like, look, that's why that person does this. That's why that person does that. That's why that person's in another relationship, because they're just looking for another fix. But I wonder what you would do, what I would do when we're in this place. Where we're in the place of envy. Where we're in the place of jealousy. Where we're in the place we're not feeling loved. Right? Us too, if we're not careful, or we'll settle for these just cheap attachments, for cheap connections. Because it's a fundamental issue that we all crave. But it's not just her, it's her sister as well. You see, that's what it goes on to say. When Rachel saw she was not bearing Jacob any children, she became jealous of her sister. So here's Rachel, and she sees her sister is having kids, right? She's having kids. Like, Leah's like, look, I'm sorry for you, but I'm having children. There's some significance here in my life. I'm popping out boys over here. Look, I'm popping out boys, and she's over here like, look, she's sad, and she doesn't have a value, because in that culture, to have children was to be valuable. And so she's sitting back, she's thinking to herself, look, I'm not valuable. I don't have what it takes to be loved, to be appreciated. And now she's jealous of her sister. She goes on to say, so she said this to Jacob, give me children or I'll die. What an exaggeration. It's so irrational. That's what jealousy does, doesn't it? It makes you irrational. It makes you thinking that you're running in a race that someone else is competing with. But they're unaware of the race that they're running. They're unaware of the race that they're competing with you. And you're running this race, and they have no idea that you're running a race. And you're the only one trying to keep up, trying to compete, trying to run this race because you're carrying baggage in your heart. You're carrying around jealousy in your heart. And you're just taking it with you in the next relationship. And you're taking it the next season of life. And you're just carrying around baggage. Hoping that the thing that you just got will satisfy it. But you know what's one of the worst feelings is to wake up and to realize that the thing that you hope will satisfy it actually doesn't, but it's still there that you want. Right? You thought it would satisfy you, but then you wake up, you're like, oh man, it's still there. Like, the feeling is still there. And you just can't get rid of the baggage. You see, jealousy will put you at odds with people you should never be at odds with. That's what it did for Rachel. It put her in a place that she was now at odds with someone that she shouldn't be at odds with. That's what jealousy does, doesn't it? It's dangerous because it shapes our attitudes towards other people. And it's hard to actively love someone you're jealous of. It's hard to serve someone you're jealous of. It's hard to serve someone who constantly reminds you. It's hard to be around somebody who constantly reminds you of what you're not. And they've done nothing to make you jealous. And that's the thing with jealousy. Who has the power to release the tension between you and the person to have what you want? Who has the power? Who has the power to release the tension between you and the other people who have what you want? She goes on. Leah does, and she has one more child. After this, it says, the Bible says that she's done. It says this. So she conceived again. She gave birth to a son, and she said, this time I will praise the Lord. I'm wrapping up here. So she named him, what does that say? Come on, one more time. Then she stopped having children. You see, once you've identified the problem that's actually in here, it's easy. It's not simple, but it becomes easier to actually solve what's actually happening in here. You see, the problem that we're struggling with, right? The baggage that we're carrying, the jealousy that's in our hearts, right? The relationship that you're craving, that you want, that you're envious of. Your low SAT scores that you wish you would have maybe got some high, maybe just a chance you would have gone to a better college, right? The baggage that you're carrying. See, all that stuff, maybe you're jealous of someone's parenting, right? Maybe you're jealous of somebody's job. They have a dream job. They're living your dream. They're driving your car. They're in your relationship. They've married your guy. Look, just take that baggage. I want you to just take it over to Jesus. You just take your baggage over, you take it over to Jesus. You know why? Because it's easier for you to let go of what you're carrying to give it over to him. Because he's the one that's going to carry it. He's the one that's going to take it take it off your shoulders. Because look, that baggage could become so wearisome. It can sabotage your relationships. It can sabotage the people around you. It can sabotage everything that you know and love that you've built. And so just take that baggage and leave it here to Jesus. That's just part of it. There's another part that I want you to leave here with. It says that she named him Praise. praise. Somebody say praise. She named him praise. You see, the only cure for our jealousy that we're struggling with is to celebrate. It's to celebrate the people around you. That's the only cure for my jealousy and for your jealousy and for the jealousy of the people next to you, the person next to you. That's the only cure, is for you to celebrate. You say, well, I don't feel like celebrating in the moment, right? That person has what I want. That person is dating the person that I want to date. That person has the car that I want to drive. That person has the job that I want to have. That person's in the career that I want to be. And in the moment, it feels really hard to celebrate. But let me encourage you this. It's easier to behave your way into a new way of thinking than to think your way into a new way of behaving. My point is this. Look, don't wait. Don't wait until you feel like celebrating. Celebrate until you feel like it. Celebrate the people around you. Because at the end of the day, when you celebrate the people around you, look, God's going to honor that. And you can take your baggage to God and you can let it go at his feet. And look, by the way, look, if you find it daunting to look God in the eye and say, God, you owe me. You're on the verge, don't miss this, you're on the verge of a breakthrough. Because you can take your baggage to God and he is the only one that can do anything about it. And sometimes God will give you what you're asking for. God is giving you what you want. But there's times that he won't. And we have to be okay with that. A couple hundred years later, fast forward in the book of Matthew, there's this, the part of the Bible that you and I just skipped through, is called genealogies. It's listing a bunch of so-and-so begot so-and-so, so-and-so begot so-and-so. I'm not going to try because I don't even know how to pronounce their names. Fast forward into that, and you look at Matthew chapter 1, and you see a name. Because jealousy is not only attached to a name, but jealousy can be let go through only one name. And you fast forward and you see it in the text. It says, so-and-so begot so-and-so. And it says, it came from the tribe of Judah, and his name is Jesus. And Jesus, 300, 500 years later, was born through the lineage of Judah. And you know what really, this is my perspective of it. You know what Leah's doing right now? When she had that child and she named him praise, she was having a come to Jesus moment. She was having a come to Jesus moment. She was like, I don't know what's going on in my circumstance. I know I want to be seen. I know I want to be heard. I know I want to be loved. I know I'm envious of so-and-so, of my sister, and my husband doesn't love me, and I'm settling for cheap attachments. But at the end of the day, look, I'm going to come back to the one that I know that's going to satisfy me, that's going to fulfill me. I'm going to come back to Jesus, and I'm just going to praise Jesus. Leah must have found a good church. Like, what happened to Leah? And so this week, when you're at work, this week, when that person comes around you that you know, man, I just wish I had, just only if, I want you to remember this. Celebrate. Celebrate, and don't wait until you feel like it, but celebrate it until you feel like it. Because Jesus is the only one that can quench that thirst, that baggage, that weight of jealousy. So let me pray for you. God, I am so honored to share the truth of the gospel and who you are, what you've done for us. God, that you've